we are now going to talk about what Ronnie named Beauty Through the Ages and the power of celebrities in fashion.
That was one thing. The reason we wanted to talk about it, Beauty Through the Ages, is that in June we want to actually have a huge event showcasing the different types of beauty and the different fads and the fashions. And where we mostly find out about our fads and fashion, obviously, is through celebrities. So in talking about that a little bit today would be fun.
Yes.
Especially, we're going to start, we can't start super, super far back. We can in the 20s. You've got the Tallulah Blackhead, and they had the short little curly cues and stuff.
Yes.
But let's bring it up a bit.
Dresses.
We'll talk the 50s. The iconic 50s.
That's so iconic.
Especially Marilyn Monroe.
You
can't say 50s without saying Marilyn Monroe. She had incredible style.
She
was gorgeous. She was brilliant too. And people didn't give her credit for that because it was all about the physical. But she was absolutely
smart.
A really, really smart
and
woman.
she knew how to market herself.
Yeah, and clever. And that's the key to it, right? She really did know how to market herself, and she played the not so bright blonde, but she was so bright, so smart.
She wasn't even a blonde, actually.
I know, isn't that funny? But she played it extremely well, and she was absolutely gorgeous, and that hair, and it was so iconic.
And she always had the red lips, and
she always looked really good. And her clothes, her dresses were amazing.
Well, you know what? She's so iconic for having the short hair and the white dress, but I loved her in River of No Return when she had the hair down to her bum.
That was one of my favorite movies. I got you into that.
Yes, you did. It was awesome.
But she was so good in that, though.
I know.
She was such a good actress in that. But if you're going to think 50s, Marilyn Monroe pops into your head.
And also Elvis, of course.
Well, you can't miss Elvis.
Yeah, come on.
I always tell Krista, my mother, her grandmother, stood right beside Elvis in Germany and did nothing.
Nope.
And just stood and stared at him and wondered who he was. I was like, are you serious? You're right beside
Elvis Presley.
And it was when he was in the army in Germany, and she stood right beside him.
Yes.
No autograph, no picture.
Nope.
She just stood and stared at him and said that she liked opera, so she didn't know who he was. It was terrible. Like, how can that be? Like, when you have your mother standing there.
He's so cool.
That's 1 degree of separation for me.
Exactly.
From Elvis.
Actually, do you know what, though? For me, Elvis was an influential fashion person for men, but for me, Priscilla Presley was like...
Oh, she was awesome.
Oh, she was the epitome of fashion. Like, I looked to her
She looked so good. Well, going into the 60s, obviously she was very young when she first met him, but going into the 60s, her style was amazing.
So
her hair was so high.
Huge.
Like, how'd you do that?
I know. I don't even know.
Awesome. I'm a hairdresser, and I don't know how to do it. She must have had something in there because there's no way to get it that high.
A literal beehive.
But she was like my height, 5'1", and then by the time she walked out, she was 6'2".
Yeah, with her hair. And of course she wore fringe, and if anyone here knows me...
That's going into the 70s.
Yeah.
Going into the 70s.
Exactly.
But other 60s icons that were really popular were Twiggy. She was super popular.
She did the bottom eyelashes. She was like the first to do that.
She had that really, really short hair.
Yeah, and she wore those earrings that had like big balls on the two ends.
She was super, super popular. Very iconic for the 60s. And going into the 70s, my favorite is Cher.
Of course.
Cher with the straight hair. Like
I know.
That was the best for the 70s was Cher.
Yeah, it was, and it was so long. Like, I don't even know how she maintained it.
I mean, she's as awesome as ever. But then that was one of my favorite looks for her, was when she had the really, really straight long hair.
And I was telling you, Raquel Welch there's a photo that I love of her where she has the hair parted right down the middle, straight.
Totally straight.
It's so amazing.
When my time going to grade 8, the popular person was Farrah Fawcett.
Yes.
And then her cut.
Didn't your brother have a picture of her on his wall?
You know what? That haircut was so popular. I know when I got my haircut just before towards the end of grade 8, and the stylist had done it with a little bit of a flippy-do in it, and I went to school and everyone said, "Oh, Farrah Fawcett Swace," right? And I was like, "I didn't do this," or the hairdresser did. But yeah, it was like super. I mean, that was like a copied
yes.
cut. Going into, of course, into the 80s. Now, I was the 80s girl.
And I love the 80s.
I mean, that was the Madonna time. That was a massive hair time. Sprayed, teased really, really high. Sprayed. It was
and the men.
Too.
Yeah.
And the men, too.
The men loved big hair too,
or
even like Poison, like the hair metal bands.
Well,
they would like,
but you don't have bands like that. You don't have that look anymore. That was so.
It makes me
cool.
sad. Like, I want a boyfriend who has hair bigger than me.
And you want it down his waist. You want him to wear have all the bracelets. They had the eyeliner. But they looked masculine.
Yeah, with the eyeliner. Well, Boy George really rocked the makeup look, didn't he?
Well, Boy George was pretty iconic in and of himself, right? I mean, people still dress like him.
He was on the cover of Cosmopolitan. I mean,
I know, he was just
full
incredible.
makeup, yeah,
incredible. Of course, going now into the 90s, I mean, the Rachel. You can't beat the Rachel. That was the most popular cut ever. I was doing hair at that time, and everyone was getting that cut. Like, it was so done. Same with Meg Ryan, that little do that she had, where and in You Got Mail, where it's flipping out like that. That everybody got that cut.
And you know what? One thing that I really wish wasn't in the 90s, but was turtlenecks.
I know. Okay. Don't remember that.
You know what? Because do you know why? Because I think the combination of the sticky outy Rachel hairdo and the turtleneck was not a flattering one.
Did it work for you?
No offense to anybody who enjoyed the turtleneck short hair combo.
I know, and if you go on a little bit towards later, you've got, of course, the Spice Girls.
Yes.
And the Spice Girls, I mean, tell me what you want.
I know. I wanted to be Baby Spice when I was
Everyone
a kid.
wanted to be Baby Spice.
Yeah.
That was super, super popular.
I know, and also when Ginger Spice came on, she wore that dress that had the Union Jack on it. Everybody wanted one of those.
Her hair, the orange and the yellow.
Oh, yeah.
I'll call it blonde, but it was actually it looked more yellow.
Yeah.
That was super in. Like, so many people came into the salon. And at that time, I had my salon.
Yes.
So many had that orangey with the lighter orange.
Yeah. That
was super, super
popular. And the
popular.
pigtails, like Baby Spice always had the pigtails coming out either side. That was really popular. And speaking of Baby Spice, baby doll dresses, which she always wore, were super into. That's taken from the 60s.
And that right in the 90210.
Yeah,
they'd wear it with the little boots.
And the little socks.
Yeah, they'd wear it with that. But that was really, really popular then, too.
And also, right now, I'm wearing my Doc Martens, which were really in the 90s, going into the grunge look.
Well, you got a combo thing going on of 80s and
do.
90s.
I don't care. I rock it.
Yeah, that's right. And whose jacket is that?
You know what? This is a vintage jacket.
It is a vintage jacket. And I think it's your uncle's, isn't it?
Don't tell him.
Don't tell anybody. We won't tell him. We also won't talk about how he went through his Don Johnson thing.
I know. And there's actually a picture of him wearing the white pants, the white jacket, and the salmon pink shirt.
And the no socks and those loafers.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just us girls that were trying to pick up the styles. Sorry, go on.
No, you know what I wanted to bring up is that I have a bone to pick, and I've mentioned this before on the show, is these freaking harem pants that MC Hammer brought in the 90s, and Justin Bieber has brought them back. And just
Listen, we won't even beat them up because your favorite Niall Horan, he wears them too.
He wore them once.
Oh, they're horrid.
Yeah, but he looks good.
He looks good in them.
They were a slight drop. Justin Bieber, the drop goes down to his ankles.
I hate those things that he wears. They look so awful.
And it's like, you're not MC Hammer. This is not the 90s. So just, leave that alone.
I know. Well, they love it. What are you going to do?
It's breezy.
But you know who? Beverly used to always love those pants too.
Yeah,
so
she
we
did.
had a very good friend of ours.
And you know what she did? Beverly is a person I used to work with in a clothing boutique. And when we'd have to hang up the clothes, because there's little like dips in the harem pants, she'd hang the hangers on either side of her pants to hold the hangers before she hung them on the rack.
Well, that became handy.
Yeah,
it made it worthwhile.
It
to
was
wear those
so
pants.
weird, except for the one hanging in between your legs. That was a little bit too much.
How do you walk?
I don't know how she did that, but it was really
Beverly.
weird.
Oh, Beverly. Okay. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us today.